Let's talk about purpose once again. Let's talk about how to find your purpose, how to connect to your purpose, and how your purpose is truly the anchor you need in order to stay locked in, to stay motivated. All right. So I believe that finding your purpose is always connected to finding the thing that hurts you the most, the pain, the wound that you carry, whatever it is. And I like to suggest that the pain that you carried most likely stem from your childhood, from generational pain. So for me, one thing that I also always like to do in my original method is a method that I created for myself and for the clients that I'm working with to excavate who they are, find the purpose, right? Then also see themselves in the context of the world, and then build the personal brand that is truly aligned with you and your soul. Okay. So, this is why I like to go into the first phase of the original method. And one of the first things that I suggest is to go into your astrology chart. I'm not an astrologer, I am not an expert on it, but I've definitely consulted astrology, human design, and the gene keys to find my constellation, as I like to say it. I believe in those modalities. They are ancient and they have been guiding people for centuries, right? So why not use them? So one thing that I can speak about in terms of finding your purpose is definitely in looking at your Chiron, right? Maybe you've heard about Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer in our chart. And my Chiron is in Cancer. Is the same sign as my sun sign. Maybe you want to look that up too. Chiron. Yeah. Chiron is the wounded healer. Depending on which sign it is in, it will tell you what your deepest soul pain is. And for me, having Chiron in Cancer, it has always been the topic of home, foundation, family, belonging. So painful. And it's so interesting to see this from the soul's perspective because as a human, I have already figured this out from a very young age because I'm mixed, and I will always and continuously speak about that because being mixed has such a big importance in my life and my identity. Plus, the Chiron is exactly the representation of this because for me, in my human understanding, before I found this Chiron thing, it has always been me being like, okay, my mom is white, my dad is black, where do I belong? Then my whole upbringing was very tumultuous. I was born in Germany. Then we went to Ghana when I was 3. So my first conscious memories of me experiencing life were me in this body seeing only black people, right? Like I think around 3, some people can remember things like even earlier, but I think around 3 is where like we start really becoming conscious. So for me, I have experienced myself in a black environment as the first environment that I can consciously think back of. All right. And then I got ripped out of that environment again when I was around 5 and a bit right before I turned 6. And then we went back to Germany. So I have, before my subconscious mind was fully formed, I have already experienced myself in a fully white environment, then in a fully black environment, and then back into a more majority white environment, even though, of course, in Germany, I grew up in a space that was also very multicultural, thank God. So, that has been always part of my identity, but being mixed and then also being ripped away from family and planted into another environment and so on, I have always felt this deep hunger and pain of where do I belong? Where are my people? Then not having a big family in Germany, just this tiny core family, and then my parents divorced when I was 10. So again, ripping apart. My mom went back with a white guy and my dad went back with a black woman, right? So mother white with my white stepdad and dad black with my black stepmom, again being torn apart in those two worlds. I've always seen the blessing in it, but it has also always been like, where do I belong? I'm not fully this, I'm not fully this. When I'm here, I'm too black. When I'm here, I'm too white. Like, I am nothing, right? Like, where do I belong? And especially this emotional belonging, really feeling safe and secure with other people. That's my story. And I hope that you resonate, right? So one of those layers is my deepest pain, and one the opposite of it is creating purpose from that. My pain is in not belonging, in not having this home, not having the comfort, not having this, yeah, this safety, this security, this emotional feeling of family and belonging. And my whole life, I am now 36, turning 37 soon. My whole life has been a looking and a seeking for a family, a belonging, a place. And this is the through line of my life. Not only black or white, but then also what is my craft, right? In terms of creative belonging, where do I belong? I used to dance. Okay, this was part of it, but I never wanted to fully commit because I always knew that there was more to me. Then also looking for jobs, entering the workforce later on. I studied international business. Again, it had to stay broad, big and broad. International business. Okay, that was good. Then I entered corporate and I entered into accounting. The people, the environment were not a match. Then I went back into entrepreneurship. Then I went to network marketing, right, which is a big thing about belonging. And I have been looking for my place in the world. I have been looking for my tribe. I have been looking and searching far and wide for my home, for my belonging, for my people. And because I always knew it's not about color, it's not about skin color, it's about the soul, I have been exploring everything. And until now, I haven't found my people really yet. I have found like one, two gems maximum, truly, right? And I know a lot of people, I have been immersed in so many worlds, but the people who stuck, not many, because I also had to continue on my path until I realized that what is my purpose? My purpose is to be the mother of the sanctuary, is the mother of the sanctuary. And that's exactly what I'm doing here with my digital property. This is my sanctuary. Welcome home. Welcome home. I'm calling you in because I am now the founding member of this new family, of this new community. This is what I feel like doing with claiming this property, this real estate, this land, this ownership of my digital platform. I had to make a home to call other people in. That so resonates with me. And today is the day that I fully step into that. So that is my story. And I just wanted to demonstrate for you, what is your purpose? What is your purpose? And I always say it is in your pain, in your deepest pain, in your soul pain. And that's why I suggest you look at astrology or human design or gene keys. Those are modalities that can help you validate. I believe it's really about validating what you've always known. Because for me, the Chiron placement in Cancer is just a validation of what I've already felt my whole life, right? So I suggest for you to allow yourself to dive deep into your pain and be like, whew, I have to find the medicine for my pain. And this is where your purpose lies. And then your purpose can continue to evolve, right? Because sometimes for some people, purpose is about you are overweight and now you are finding a solution to be thin and fit and agile, and now your purpose is to share that, right? And to share with others how you got your dream body. For a time, for a season, that might be your purpose, right? I believe purpose is not fixed, but it can always be traced to from pain to pleasure, from pain to power, the transformation of from a problem to a solution. I believe that ultimately our purpose is to give our gift to the world. And part of the gift is, again, is to transform the pain that we felt into something, into the medicine, into the pleasure, into the power, into the solution, and then sharing that with others. That is our purpose. So if you are, and here again, if you are honest with yourself and truly connected to your pain without letting the pain consume you, but you being motivated by the pain, right? Again, another thing that comes to mind is for many people it's poverty, right? Maybe being poor or being not seen, right? And you have to do everything to then make the money or to then become known, right? Like the pain is always the beginning point of finding the solution, becoming the person, and then being the medicine woman, the medicine man, bringing the solution, bringing the bringing the antidote to your own pain. I believe that that is always the right way to find your purpose. And then it is about staying anchored in that pain and always continue to look for what is a problem, what is hurting me, what is something that is uncomfortable, where is my discomfort. It doesn't always have to be like existential pain, right? It continues to evolve depending on how much you have solved already. But the pain is always the beginning. The pain is always the beginning of the purpose. And sharing with others, right? The creative expression, as I also like to call it, right? And that is how you can stay anchored and really locked in, tapped in, locked in, grounded, anchored into whatever it is that you want to create, right? The purpose maybe of your season is to work on your body. Again, it is the beginning point is the pain, right? And even if the pain is I want to be better, is not being so much overweight. It could be, right? That is the pain. The pain is always the beginning of the purpose. The pain is always the beginning of the purpose. And when you're honest with yourself, you will find what it is that is hurting you. And then you will go out into the world and seek the solutions. Many times we know the solution already, but we then have to apply it, right? It's the same thing with losing weight. We have to work out and we have to eat cleaner and we have to like give our body what it needs in order to shed and release the excess weight. And the same thing is about making money. The same thing is about creating something of a heart's desire. As I said, my biggest pain has always been not belonging and not finding my tribe and not building the home because I'm such a Cancer. Oh my God. Right? If you know a little bit about Cancer, it is about if my pain is in Cancer, like it means that I am a homemaker. I am such a family person. And then not having that, ooh, biggest pain. So what I'm doing here now is creating the sanctuary, creating the hub for my other highly empathic, sensitive, spiritual sweethearts. But don't get it twisted, right? Like not so sweet that I will not cut you off because Cancer is very good at that as well. So, yeah, so that's my take on finding your purpose. It is always rooted in your pain, then finding the solutions to your pain, being like taking your own medicine and then sharing your medicine with others. And then it can continue. Maybe it stays the purpose for a lifetime, but I believe that it will always evolve. So, as a little guide, as a little tip, is start where you are, from where you are with what you have. That's what I learned from my mentors. Always start from where you are with what you have to then create the solution, the outcome that you truly desire. So identify what is your biggest pain currently, or what has been the biggest pain of your life. And then start looking for solutions. And I can guarantee you that if you found this video, there are going to be more solutions coming from me, because have had many pains. And yeah, and I would also love to know, what would you love me to talk about more? Because I have found so many solutions, right? Speaking about health, speaking about weight, speaking about beauty, speaking about building a personal brand as a multicultural, skilled, educated, interested, passionate person, right? That is also a big one for me, a big one. And then building a business and building the life ultimately of your dreams, of ultimate freedom and liberation for others. So, yeah, that's it. I am looking forward to hear from you in the comments, and I am looking forward to hear and read your questions about what I should be talking about next. And I just want to let you know that you are a force of nature, and I want to see you act like it. All right? Until then, bye.